Hey, beautiful people, and welcome back to Astro Intel. It's always a joy to connect with you all and unpack what the cosmos has in store. I'm your host, and I'm always thrilled to be diving deep with our resident astrological guru. How you doing today?
What's going on, everyone? Hey, so glad to be back and, digging into these celestial energies with you. Our whole aim here at Astro Intel, it's pretty simple, really. We want to take all this, cosmic data, the placements, the aspects, and actually translate it, make it something real, something you can, actually use as you move through your day.
That's exactly it. Forget those, super vague newspaper horoscopes, right? We're about getting into the real substance. Today, we are laser focused on April 14th, 2025. We've got this really rich tapestry, planetary placements, how they're interacting, all of it. We're going to explore the overall vibe right down to the specifics. So what's the big headline? What are the major themes for April 14th, 2025 we should know about?
All right. Well, the first thing you're probably going to feel pretty strongly is this intense emotional current. We've got Moon in Scorpio, and, that placement, it always turns the volume way up on our feelings. Think of Scorpio as like the deep sea of the zodiac, right? Emotions aren't just skimming the surface, they run deep. There's this pull inward, maybe even, facing feelings we usually keep kind of hidden away.
Okay, Moon in Scorpio. Got it. So if you wake up feeling a bit more intense, maybe quieter, more drawn into your own world, that's probably it playing out. So probably not the day to just pretend everything's light and breezy if it isn't.
Exactly. It's really a day that pushes for honesty, like being honest with yourself about how you truly feel. And adding another layer to that emotional depth, there's a really significant alignment happening. The Sun conjunct Chiron, and they're both in Aries.
Ooh, Sun conjunct Chiron.
Yeah. Now, Chiron, often called the wounded healer, right? When it teams up with the Sun, that's our core self, our vitality and fiery, assertive Aries. It shines this big, bright spotlight on those places where we've been hurt, especially around our sense of self, how we assert ourselves.
Sun conjunct Chiron in Aries. That sounds like a real moment of truth. Maybe a little uncomfortable.
But ultimately, there's huge potential for growth there. So if some old sensitivities flare up, it's not necessarily a setback, but maybe more like an opportunity, a chance to finally tend to those wounds with, real awareness, especially in Aries, which is all about our identity stepping into our power.
Precisely. And this conjunction, it's actually quite tight. We're talking within about 2.1 degrees. That really focuses the energy. It's kind of like the universe gently saying, hey, remember this old thing. It's time. Time to look at it with fresh eyes, maybe some more compassion for yourself.
Yeah.
It's about acknowledging those vulnerabilities, they're part of your journey. Okay, wow. So a day with potentially intense feelings and a real opening for some deep healing around our core self. That's a powerful mix. Now, the forecast also mentions something about balancing idealism and sensitivity with practicality.
Yeah.
How does that show up in the stars for this day?
Right, so that comes from having both Mercury and Venus chilling out in Pisces.
Pisces.
Yeah, Pisces is this wonderfully imaginative, deeply sensitive water sign. So your thoughts, how you communicate, that's Mercury, and your feelings and relationships around money, that's Venus. They're likely going to be colored by this Piscean energy. You might find yourself feeling more romantic, maybe more drawn to creative stuff, or even having kind of idealistic notions about finances. It's like the world feels a bit softer, a little more dreamlike, maybe.
All right, Pisces, where the edges blur and imagination just takes off. So our minds, our hearts might be feeling a bit more, whimsical than usual. But we can't just float off completely, can we? There's got to be that grounding force you mentioned.
Absolutely. It can't just drift away. So Venus, while in Pisces, forms a close conjunction with Saturn.
And Saturn is, Mr. Structure, responsibility, bring it down to earth. So in matters of the heart, matters of the wallet, this conjunction is like a reality check. It's time to look at commitments and relationships, really assess the long-term picture with financial plans, and just generally bring a more sober perspective to those areas. And this is a strong one, within 1.4 degrees, so its influence will probably be pretty noticeable. Okay, so that dreamy Pisces vibe gets a dose of very practical Saturn energy. It's like the universe whispering, hey, enjoy the fantasy, but let's make sure the foundation's solid. What about Mercury also being conjunct Saturn? Does that add another layer to this, like mental grounding?
It does, yeah. Mercury, still in Pisces, also has its meeting with Saturn, though it's a little wider, about 3.0 degrees apart. So you might feel a bit of mental resistance. Like if you're trying to articulate brand new, really out there ideas, it might feel a bit sticky. Could be a feeling of your thoughts being a little more constrained, maybe a bit more serious, but it's not necessarily bad, just
Yeah.
practical.
Mental resistance. Sounds like if you're trying to brainstorm the next, like, revolutionary thing, you might hit a few more walls than usual. But, sometimes those limitations can actually spark creativity differently, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a better day for, like, refining ideas than pulling totally new ones out of thin air.
Exactly. Yeah. Those totally off-the-wall concepts might struggle a bit for traction or even just to get expressed clearly. But on the flip side, this is actually fantastic energy for focus study, for really digging into research, for responsible, structured thinking. Saturn here helps concentrate the mind, makes it easier to tackle complex stuff, things that need attention to detail.
Okay, cool. So we're navigating this interesting dance, the imaginative Pisces energy and the grounding force of Saturn, hitting both our feelings and our thoughts. Now let's shift gears a little. Let's talk about some more dynamic stuff. Assertive communication and inspired action. That sounds like a welcome boost.
It is, and there are some really nice, harmonious aspects supporting this. First up, Mercury in Pisces forms this beautiful trine that's a really easy, beneficial connection with Mars in Cancer. And it's super tight, only 0.5 degrees.
Wow, half a degree.
Yeah, so this suggests a really smooth flow when it comes to expressing yourself assertively and actually doing something with your ideas. You might find it just feels easier to speak your mind, and you've got the energy to back up what you're saying. It's like your thoughts and your drive are totally in sync.
Mercury trine Mars sounds like the perfect cosmic green light. Like, put those thoughts into motion. No more just mulling it over. This is the energy that helps you say, okay, had the idea, now let's go. And then there's Mars also trining Neptune. That sounds interesting, especially after we just talked about grounded Saturn.
Yes, exactly. Mars in Cancer also forms a trine with Neptune, which is over in Aries, and this one's within about 1.9 degrees. This aspect can make you feel particularly inspired, like really wanting to pursue your ideals with energy, but also with this strong sense of faith. You might feel this real inner push to manifest your dreams, to act in line with your deeper values. It's like your actions get infused with purpose, maybe even a little bit of magic.
Inspired action, fueled by faith.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that, like tapping into something bigger to help you move forward. But with Neptune in the mix, we always got to remember to keep one eye open. Yeah, just to make sure we're not, chasing a complete illusion.
That's the key. Neptune can sometimes blur the lines, make it harder to see things with like total 20/20 clarity. So while you're riding that wave of inspired energy, just keep a gentle awareness of the practical side. Make sure your ideals have some roots in reality.
Wise words, wise words.
Oh.
Okay, so lovely support for taking inspired action. Now, what about this idea of innovation within established structures? That sounds really useful, like for the real world.
Yeah, this is highlighted by a strong sextile. That's another harmonious aspect, offering opportunities between Saturn in Pisces and Uranus in Taurus. And it's very close, this sextile, only 0.7 degrees.
Okay.
So Saturn, we know, is structure, rules, limits, and Uranus is the planet of revolution, innovation, unexpected change. When these two connect smoothly in a sextile, it suggests there are real opportunities to introduce new ideas, make breakthroughs, but within the existing systems and frameworks in your life.
Huh. So it's not about, like, blowing everything up and starting over, but more finding clever ways to evolve, to improve what's already there, working smart within the system.
Precisely. Think of it as controlled innovation. You might find you can work really effectively with authority figures or within established institutions to bring in new methods or approaches. It's a very practical, kind of sustainable way to make progress.
That sounds really constructive, like a great way to actually make a difference without causing unnecessary upheaval.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the forecast also mentions potential for internal tension alongside a strong drive to move forward. That sounds like a classic push-pull scenario.
It is, yeah. This comes from a square aspect that's a more challenging angle that creates friction between the Sun in Aries and Mars in Cancer. It's medium strength, about 3.5 degrees. This aspect can generate some internal conflict or tension, maybe between your personal will and your emotional needs. You've got that strong Aries urge from the Sun, go, assert, move forward quickly. But it might clash with your Cancerian Mars, which wants security, comfort, emotional nurturing.
Sun square Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels like stepping on the gas and the brake at the exact same time. You want to go full speed, but something inside is like, whoa, slow down, or it's just making you feel agitated. So the key is really being aware of that potential inner conflict and trying to find a way to integrate those two drives, maybe?
Exactly. It's about managing that assertive energy mindfully, trying to avoid unnecessary clashes, whether that's just internal frustration or, actual conflicts with other people. That fiery Aries energy might feel a bit hemmed in by the more cautious, emotionally driven Cancer energy. Finding a balance is definitely going to be important.
Okay, so an underlying tension to be mindful of, even while feeling that urge to push ahead. Got it. Now, let's zoom out a little bit. Let's talk about those bigger, longer-term shifts with Pluto in Aquarius.
Right. So Pluto, the planet of deep transformation, power, rebirth, it spends a really long time in each sign. Its current journey through Aquarius signals this major long-term shift. We're talking societal structures, innovation on a grand scale, our collective ideals around community, humanitarianism. Over the coming years, we're likely to see really profound changes in these areas. Social reforms, big tech advancements that impact everyone, a greater focus on collective empowerment. It's big picture stuff.
Whoa, yeah. Big picture, deep transformation. So even on this specific day, April 14th, 2025, that Aquarian energy of change is still kind of humming in the background, subtly influencing the overall atmosphere and, our own experiences within the collective. And how does Neptune sextile Pluto fit into this larger transformative vibe?
Good question. That sextile between Neptune, which is in Aries, and Pluto in Aquarius, its medium strength, around 3.2 degrees, adds another interesting layer. Neptune in Aries can represent our idealistic visions for the future, our spiritual dreams, right? While Pluto in Aquarius is about the nitty-gritty, the practical manifestation of transformative change in society. So the sextile suggests there's this need to maybe refine those sometimes hazy Neptunian ideals to ground them in a more realistic understanding of power, how change actually happens personally and globally.
So it's like taking those beautiful, lofty dreams and figuring out, okay, how do we actually bring these down to earth in a meaningful way? And I noticed in our notes something about this aspect encouraging the healing power of forgiveness. How does that connect?
That's such a crucial point. Holding on to old hurts, resentments, that stuff can really block our personal power, block our ability to embrace that big transformation. Forgiveness, forgiving ourselves, forgiving others, it allows us to release that heavy baggage. It frees up energy so we can actually step into that more empowered future. Pluto in Aquarius is kind of pushing us toward, it's like clearing the energetic space for new growth to happen.
That is a really powerful insight. Forgiveness is a catalyst for evolution, both personal and collective. I really like that. Okay, now we have some other nuances, some additional planetary aspects in play on the 14th. Let's dive into those quickly. First up, Mercury conjunct Neptune, both in Pisces. That sounds super dreamy.
It really is. Mercury in Pisces is already pretty imaginative, intuitive, right? And its close conjunction with Neptune, also in Pisces, and super tight within 1.4 degrees, just amplifies all of that. This is a fantastic time to tap into your creativity, your intuition, your imagination. Great for communication, decision-making from that space. Wonderful for artistic stuff, music, poetry, writing. You might find your dreams are extra vivid, or your ability to connect with people intuitively is heightened.
Sounds like a day to really channel your inner artist,
Yeah.
trust those gut feelings. But I also see a little note here about critical decision-making. What's the watch out?
Exactly. While it's brilliant for creative flow and intuitive hits, that strong Neptune influence can also make things a bit, well, foggy.
Ah, foggy. Okay.
Yeah, clarity, sharp logic might be a bit harder to grab onto.
Yeah.
So for really important decisions that need a clear head, meticulous analysis, maybe take a little more time, gather more info, or maybe chat with someone who has a more, grounded perspective.
Good call. Lean into the art, but maybe hold off signing major contracts without a second look. Got it. What's next? Venus sextile Uranus. That sounds like it could bring some fun surprises.
It definitely can. Venus in Pisces forming that strong sextile with Uranus over in Taurus. It's close, 0.8 degrees, brings this lovely element of surprise, excitement maybe into relationships and finances. Be open to new possibilities, unexpected connections in those areas. You might just feel this urge to break free from routine, try something a little unconventional, think like spontaneous dates, or maybe exploring a new, slightly different investment strategy within reason, of course.
Uranus always brings that unexpected twist, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So this could be a day for like a chance encounter that sparks something, or maybe just a sudden fresh look at an old relationship or money situation.
Yeah.
It's about being open to the unconventional, yeah.
Precisely. Being receptive to those sudden insights or opportunities that might just pop up out of nowhere, it's a chance to inject some spontaneity, maybe a little bit of healthy rebellion against the mundane, especially in areas where things might have felt a bit stuck or predictable.
I like that. A little cosmic shakeup for love and money. Okay, and then we have Mars trine Saturn. That sounds like a recipe for getting things done with some real staying power.
It absolutely is. Mars in Cancer forming that trine with Saturn in Pisces at about 2.6 degrees brings this wonderful blend of energy and focus, drive and discipline. You can really bring a lot of disciplined effort to your goals now, work towards lasting impact. Projects you start now, they have the potential to develop really thoroughly, stand the test of time, even if they progress maybe a bit slower, more deliberately. It's about sustainable action.
Okay, so Mars gives the initial spark, the drive, and Saturn brings the structure, the endurance to actually see it through. Sounds like a great aspect for tackling those long-term things that need both get up and go and commitment.
Absolutely. It's about channeling your energy responsibly, keeping it focused. You might find it easier to stay on task, avoid distractions, and really build something solid and lasting.
And finally, we have Mars sextile Uranus. We talked about Uranus bringing surprises. How does Mars energy play with that?
Right. So Mars in Cancer also forms a sextile with Uranus and Taurus. This one's about 3.3 degrees. This aspect offers another pathway for innovation, for breakthrough, but maybe with a slightly different feel than the Saturn-Uranus one. Here, it's more about your individual initiative leading to those unexpected opportunities or insights. You might find yourself having more visionary ideas than usual, and importantly, you'll likely have the energy and the courage to actually pursue them, maybe in unconventional ways.
Ah, okay. So while Saturn-Uranus was more like progress within the system, Mars-Uranus feels more like your own personal drive can spark those exciting, unexpected leaps, thinking outside the box and having the energy to actually do something with those ideas.
Exactly. It's about directing your personal energy towards creating something new, something different, pushing beyond your usual comfort zone, maybe, and really embracing those flashes of inspiration that seem to come out of nowhere.
Wow. That is a truly dynamic, really multifaceted astrological picture for April 14th, 2025. Feels like there are these openings for deep emotional work, for balancing dreams and reality, and for taking inspired action towards innovation. Now, to help everyone really connect with how these energies might be playing out for them, we put together some reflection questions. Let's maybe touch on a few key ones.
Absolutely. Good idea. So first, considering that Moon in Scorpio, take a moment, check in with yourself. What intense emotions might be swirling around? Are you feeling more pulled towards introspection? Are there any hidden feelings maybe asking for a little bit of your attention today?
And with that Sun conjunct Chiron and Aries, what past wounds, maybe related to your sense of self, your confidence, your ability to assert yourself, what's becoming conscious? And how can you approach whatever comes up with some gentle acceptance, a real willingness to heal?
Yeah. And given Mercury and Venus both in that watery Pisces, just notice, are your thoughts, your feelings about relationships, about money, feeling particularly sensitive or maybe idealistic today? Are you maybe seeing things through slightly rose-tinted glasses, perhaps?
Good question. And reflecting on Venus conjunct Saturn,
Yeah.
where in your love life or maybe your financial planning might you need to take a more grounded, realistic view?
Yeah.
Are there any commitments, any responsibilities there that really need your focused attention right now?
And considering Mercury conjunct Saturn, are you hitting any mental blocks, feeling resistance when trying to express new ideas? If so, how could you maybe channel that energy differently, maybe into focused study, detailed planning, something like that?
Right. And with that lovely Mercury trine Mars,
Yeah.
think about areas where you feel a natural ease. Where does expressing yourself assertively just flow? Where is taking action on ideas feeling smooth right now?
Uh-huh. And given Mars trine Neptune, what ideals, what big aspirations are you feeling particularly inspired to put energy into? What vision feels like it has faith behind it, calling you to bring it into reality?
Hmm. And considering Saturn's sextile Uranus, where might you see opportunities, maybe small ones, maybe bigger ones, to bring something new or innovative into the existing structures in your life? Where can you work within the system maybe to create some positive change?
And with that Sun square Mars tension, pay attention to any internal friction, maybe frustration you might be feeling, that push-pull between desire and emotional needs. How can you manage your drive, your assertiveness in a way that honors both your ambition and your well-being?
Yeah, that's crucial. And finally, reflecting on Neptune sextile Pluto, what perhaps unrealistic ideals might it be time to gently, compassionately let go of? In order to step into a more empowered, more transformative future, where can you truly embrace and affirm your own inner power, your agency?
Yeah, these are just a few starting points, really, just to get you thinking, get you feeling into how these cosmic energies might be personally influencing your day on April 14th, 2025.
So as you navigate this day, everyone, remember these key themes: that call to explore your deeper emotions, embrace healing, the need to find that sweet spot between dreams and practical reality, and also that really exciting potential for innovative progress fueled by both your own initiative and maybe those larger structural shifts. Be mindful of any internal tensions, yeah, and just try to channel your energy consciously with intention.
Definitely. This day in the cosmos, it really offers this powerful opportunity for both inner reflection and outer growth. We sincerely hope this deep dive into the astrology of April 14th, 2025 has given you some valuable insights for your journey.
We always love hearing what resonated most, what questions came up for you as we explored all this together. This is truly an ongoing conversation, isn't it? About that profound connection between the cosmos and our lives. Thanks so much for tuning into Astro Intel. Until next time, keep looking up.